Thanks for being a good audience.
I wanted to start by talking about a little bit about how you shot it, not only with the gorgeous black and white, but there's a lot of very long takes and scenes with very little coverage in them, which adds to this very deadpan humor. I was curious about that choice for this story.
The screenplay seemed to suggest it. I actually didn't mean that to be funny. No, the screenplay suggested a rather austere, almost a Midwestern early cartoonish style. Also, because I wanted to shoot it in black and white, and the studio had such a big hissy fit, that I had a very shrink-wrapped budget. So I really had to think about how to shoot it in as efficient and economical a way possible. And anyway, I like to do things. I like to cut as little as I need to. So I was interested in staging as much as I could in what we call one-ers, or single takes.
I also want to ask Will about playing straight man. Much of the time you're playing straight man against Bruce and against the actors in the story. How did you prepare for that versus some of the comedy work you've done before?
Well, in a way, it was very intimidating in a way because it was just something I was not used to. What I am used to is having people not laugh at me. So it was in a way more comfortable being in a situation where I'm not expected to not get laughs. It's more painful when you're supposed to get laughs and you don't. But it was intimidating coming in just because I'm used to doing bigger, crazier things. So to be asked to be a little more realistic, you feel much more vulnerable. But it was, he made me feel so very comfortable right from the get-go.
More vulnerable than doing live television.
Oh, yes.
He has editing, and take 2, and take 7, and take 30.
But you're doing crazy characters and wearing wigs and just a little. If you put a mustache on, it's fine. You feel like there's this layer between you and the camera. I don't know. It's just it sounds real actor mumbo jumbo. I don't feel qualified yet as an actor to say it, but you just like there's something just very personal about acting real. Yes.
Open it up. Do you guys have questions?
First, Will, I want to say that I think MacGruber is really underappreciated.
Thank you.
For Alexander, when I was watching the movie, it's kind of about looking at the past in a way, and I kind of thought of stylistically, it seemed also kind of like Depression era-y with like the money talk and like kind of the big ideas of someone winning it big. Was that also, am I close anywhere with that?
I think because of the time in which we ended up making the film, those forces blew through it. We were shooting a year ago, and obviously what we hope is the tail end of our economic malaise. And so the fact, I didn't think about that necessarily. I mean, certainly when I read the script 9 years ago, I had an idea of this disappearing America and somewhat desolate small towns like that, kind of forgotten in time and so forth. But given, to repeat myself, the time in which we were shooting, just turning on the camera, that's what we found. And so, and then also being in black and white, it would suggest the film acquires its own modern Depression era texture. And a lot of the stuff that you see in the film, for example, the shattered bank sign that says, "See us, foe, your home loan," that's a found object. We did nothing with that. Boarded up storefronts, for-lease sign, that's all there. So it all kind of fit in.
Can you talk about the castings? If you read the script 9 years ago.
Where are you?
Right here.
Oh, hello.
Hi. Can you talk about how the kind of casting fell into place?
And Bruce Dern was the first actor who sprang to mind to play a very difficult part to cast, that guy Woody. So then years went by, and I met with Bruce Dern a couple of times, but I also met with about, 50 guys who maybe I like to do my due diligence just to see who else is out there. And circled back around with Bruce Dern. So once his part, and I knew that there was no also ran. I couldn't think of anyone else now whom I met. You can't be Gene Hackman, for example. He's genuinely retired. But everyone else, it was exclusively Bruce's part. In history, I could think of Henry Fonda around the time around Golden Pond. He could have done the part, and maybe Walter Brennan 20 years before. Maybe Percy Kilbride from the Blackhawk Kettle films at some point. But it's a pretty hard part to cast. And once we cast him, then everyone else fell into place. I believe that Will and Bob Odenkirk could be the offspring of Bruce Dern and June Squibb as the casting director. And I would like to assemble believable families. And then the biggest casting work that we did, what called big for us, but was finding all the non-actors in the film, all the native Nebraskans who never even been in a school play who were in the film. There are a lot of them. But it's a big, they all meld pretty well. Like the guy who plays Woody's brother, Uncle Ray, that's Ron Howard's father, Rance Howard, who's been acting for 60 years. And the woman who plays his wife, Aunt Martha, she's a Tony-winning Broadway actress from Green Gardens. Early musicals, and she also played Louis C.K.'s mother in season 1. Louis C.K. And then other people are, retired Nebraska farmers.
Yes, first of all, congratulations. I thought the film was marvelous. And my question would be, in the wrong hands, these characters could have been caricatures. But I found the film to be profoundly moving. Creeps up on you very slowly, like The Descendants. It skirts the line between humor and drama. So my question would be, what attracted you to this story 9 years ago? And then I want to hear a little bit about June Squibb. She was amazing.
Oh yeah, she was great.
Well, the screenplay reached me because of its title. Had it been titled Pennsylvania, but then beyond that superficial way in which it reached me, although very fortuitous, I like the sense of humor. I mean, the writer lives in Snohomish, Washington, but his parents were from northeastern Nebraska, where we shot a different small town. And it just had that, I liked its really, really austere, deadpan style. And the screenplay was a merciful 92 or 93 pages. And I just thought it would make a nice little movie. Kind of funny, kind of weird. At first I thought the premise of the guy believing that, because the script was written like a dozen years ago when the Publishers Clearinghouse still existed, so I thought that was this kind of specious premise nowadays, but it still exists to some low-grade degree, so that worked. And I don't know, I just thought it would make a nice little movie. And then it's so funny though, when you make a movie, you just think, oh, this would be a nice little movie. And then things like the economic forces and the Depression era thing and the father-son, like once you start taking it seriously and actually having to stage those things and think about them more deeply and have collaborators add their contributions, even just, a nice little movie starts to acquire a bit more heft somehow, thematic, and with the visual style as well. It's interesting making a movie. All this other stuff just comes.
June.
Oh, June Squibb. Oh, yes. Well, she had played Jack Nicholson's wife in About Shit, so I was familiar with her. But I didn't think about her necessarily for this part until she logged in an audition, a taped audition. I was like, whoa, June Squibb. Right. Awesome. And total pro. Her audition tape was with two different attitudes. Like I could play Kate this way, or I could play her this way. Or heard that, we got like, you know, the good actors can do it in infinite ways, and so it was like, whoa. So I just
I
called
did
her
not
up.
know it one way.
I just called her up and went, Julie, let's go. Boy, I like that about that. And there was no also ran for her.
It is such a testament to what a great actress she is, and Bruce, because they are as opposite of their characters. In real life, Bruce just will not shut up. He tells the most delightful stories. It's the best experience. But then the camera starts rolling, and he's in that man of few words, very gruff person. It's amazing to see that turn. And same with June. June could not be a more delightful, sweet person, and then just turns into my mom.
I think there's one in the back there, in the center. Yes.
Well, I just want to say thank you as a fifth generation Nebraskan. I think you captured us, and it has me at that first line which you came out.
Speak louder, please, and what town in Nebraska are you from?
I grew up in Ogallala, Nebraska.
Ogallala?
Ogallala.
Yeah.
Lived in O'Neill, which is not too far from Valentine, in that area.
Right, yeah.
So I know the area well, and you had me when she came out and called him a dumb fuck.
Yeah.
Perfect, and right on. It was just amazing. It was really great to see.
Thanks. I shot Ogallala in about a shift, and I ran into a convenience store to get something. What are you guys doing? I said, oh, we're shooting a movie. And I remember, he still remembered Francis Coppola shooting in Ogallala on the Rain People. Back in '68.
Things don't change a lot.
Yeah. They're out in Ogallala.
Here.
What about Zach from PE Film School majors? Does he have a question? Where is Zach? Oh, there he is.
No, I was going to ask.
Did you ask someone else go first?
You can go with Zach for a second.
Okay, all right. What do you think, Zach?
Good.
Okay.
So there, throughout the film, Will Forte is kind of like realizing how human his father is, and we kind of grow up with this sort of reverence of our parents. I was wondering if sort of the humanizing of Bruce Dern's character was something you thought about going into the film, or again, just one of those things that happened naturally with the movie?
I would say the latter. Yes, I really hadn't thought about that until right now. I just figured he was, very flawed, already pre-humanized father. Yeah.
Hi. So I kind of wanted to ask a little bit more of an expansive question. How has your process as a director changed since Citizen Brute to now? I mean, honestly, I'd be interested in hearing what you did before that and how you, matured as a director. And for Will, you talking about getting into acting for real, serious stuff. And I think that's awesome. I love everything you've done in SNL. I guess I just want to know what you want for yourself, for future roles. Where do you want to go?
Are you involved in the film yourself?
What gave it away?
What's that?
What gave it away?
Just the nature of your question.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's okay. What do you do in film?
I'm in film school for directing right now. I'm doing experimental filmmaking and directing class.
What's your name?
Robert.
All right. But I was saying that's where we should have a beer afterwards if you really want to talk about that.
I'm down.
Okay. All right. Yes. Well, I'll give you that answer.
This experience was not planned out. It was not, I'm going to move into drama. This is the obvious way to go for me. I had the good fortune of, I was writing and got a chance to be at Saturday Night Live, which was the dream job for me. And so I got a dream job. Anything after that was great. To get another dream job, it's unbelievable. Who knows what happens in this industry? So I just, to get more experiences like that would be amazing, but I'm just thankful for having this opportunity, which is something that is very, very rare to get a chance to do. So thank you.
Oh, and thank you. Wear your applause. Sure. No, but he has said in a couple of these forums that you never thought you'd get the job. However, you auditioned anyway. So thank you. Thank God you did.
That was, I mean, going in. Okay, I have a deep, a very. I'm a confident person in the center, and it's covered with layers of crazy shit. So like, it was terrifying. All the crazy stuff was the stuff that was ruling my head in this process of trying out for the movie. So to even have, I had put myself on tape, and then he called me in to come read the scenes in person. That right there was enough for me to know that he, even if I hadn't gotten the part, to know that he liked the stuff enough to kind of consider me even in a group of a bunch of actors was just the best.
So, Robert will have a beer afterwards, and we can talk about that more at length. However, I would say, so thinking back to because I started at UCLA Film School when I was 23, 52 right now. So almost 30 years, chasing this thing. The thing I like now about where I am as a director, and I always as a film student, these first 6 feature films I've made, I'm so happy people like them. I think they're minor works. Each one is just another waffle that you have to throw away. I mean, I hope one day to make one really good one. And yes, I'm both humble and megalomaniac. All these minor works. But what I like now is that I have a lot of the rudiments of film technique down. The coverage and, assessing if we can get this much work, these 3 pages done today in this amount of time, with this light, with this location, and so forth. And where I don't actually have to think that much about, it's like at the same time I think desperately about film technique and the proper use of film language. And I also now have the luxury of not thinking about it at all. And treating a day on the set, having less difference between my life in general and the construction of a film, that it's kind of the extension of the same thing. And to the degree, like for example, I had never storyboarded in my life anyway. I do very little formal preparation before a day's work, and now I'm not too freaked out if I've done almost no preparation. I have no idea how to shoot a scene when I go in. Confident that I can readily, together with my own, now somewhat experienced brain, but also with my collaborators, figure out how to get it. And I've seen little quality difference. I've got some walkouts on that show. I've seen a little qualitative difference between the scenes I've prepared extensively and those that I wing. So we can talk about this over here.
A couple more. Okay, one more here.
Alright, so going off that question, I noticed that before you went to UCLA, you went to Stanford for your filmmaker in Spanish and history. And currently I'm a student, not studying film, but I want to
Speak louder, please.
Alright, currently I'm a student at Moscow Other Film, but I'm not doing film right now, I'm studying a different subject. And I noticed you did the same thing, and you made that transition. So how did you make that transition? And did you always want to do film, or did you discover that afterwards?
You're an undergrad somewhere?
Please repeat the question.
The guy's an undergrad. He knows that I went to Stanford first. I studied history and literature, and then I went to grad school in film, and he's wondering how smooth a transition that is. Look, I'm super old school, so for me, it was going to film school was exactly like going to law school. You never studied law before going to law school, or medicine. You done pretty good classes. You haven't taken anatomy or something. So it's exactly the same thing. And I actually recommend for film students who are considering grad film school, absolutely not to take a single damn film class before you go. To take other stuff. Because they'll teach you how monkey can learn how to make a film in a week. But it's you know, the cliche, it's a medium. It is not the end, it is a medium. And you have to, in the great film schools, the good ones around the world, want people who can come in with ideas, saying, we're going to teach you how to make a film. But you come in with ideas. So, do that.
Very much enjoyed the film. I have a question for each one of you. For Alexander, I was wondering, at what point in the process